All right. Let me get this focused on Sarah. Nope. I'm struggling.
You're doing a great job.
Okay. There we go. So, no clue what episode this is, just in wondering. I think it's 7. I think it's episode 7. But we're really lucky and thankful to have Miss Sarah Jones on with us today, talking about Music City, USA, Nashville, Tennessee. Sarah and I go back to sophomore year of college, was it, at App State?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In Newland with our buddy Guang, and all the fun times in Newland and App State. So Sarah has since moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm gonna let her roll from there. So Sarah, thank you for being here, and you've got the floor.
Thank you. Just fair warning, I'm not very good at public speaking, so bear with me. But my name is Sarah, and I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Went to school there, and then I went to App State. And after college, I moved out to Nashville, and I've been there for about 5 years now. 2020? Yeah. Been there for about 5 years. So I guess the reason I'm out there is because I love music and I'm a musician and a songwriter, and that's what I do for a living. It's what I do every day. So I guess the first question is how I got there, or how I knew that that was what I was supposed to be doing. And that's kind of a tough question for me to answer, because I genuinely feel like it's been different every step of the journey. Like I can't look back and think of a moment where I was like, yes, this is my calling in life. Like I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I think there was always a certain level of questioning that. But there's been little things along the way that kind of have led me to where I am. And it really started in high school, actually, when I was their age. I was 16. And I had done like church choir, and my mom made me take piano lessons in elementary school. And I hated it, but I did it. And I kind of stopped doing music for a while until I was 16. And I like suddenly found myself without any friends. Like all the friends that I'd had since middle school decided they didn't want to be friends with me anymore. And so I just had a bunch of free time on my hands after school, and my dad had just bought a guitar because he thought that at age 50 it was time for him to follow his dream and learn how to play guitar. So there was one sitting around in the living room, and I picked it up and I just started teaching myself how to play. I literally learned how to play by watching YouTube videos of people performing and playing acoustic guitar, and I just mimicked everything that they did. And that's how I learned how to play guitar. And I really just wanted to be good enough that to the point where I could sing along, because I thought it might be cool to start writing songs. I don't really know where this idea came from. I just thought it might be a great way to spend my time. And so I learned enough guitar. It took me about 2 months, and then I performed at my church. That was like my first guitar and singing performance. And I was like, this is cool. This is fun. But I want to write my own music. And so then every night I just literally would come home from school, eat dinner with my parents, and play guitar until my fingers hurt. And then I would write in a notebook of just, it's really embarrassing. And I hope I never find it again. Hope no one ever finds this notebook. But I would literally just write whatever was on my mind every single night. I would write for hours and hours and hours and just try to make things rhyme. And I guess that would be when I knew, like, if anything, I just like doing this in my free time as a hobby or whatever. It was a great way for me to express myself. Because I feel like there's, you know, when you're in high school, you're experiencing so many things for the first time, and there's just so many big emotions that go into that. And music was my creative outlet. But anyway, so I was 16 at the time, and like that was when I was applying to college, and my parents wanted me to go to college, but they weren't like convinced that I should be studying music. And I don't think I was really convinced either, because I had just started writing, and I applied to a school out in Nashville called Belmont University. I applied to their songwriting program and I got in, but it just seemed like a really big commitment to go all the way out there at 17 and I don't know, just dive right into something I wasn't completely sure about. Like I knew I loved it, but I didn't know if I was good at it or anything like that. So I ended up going to App State. So I was closer to home, and I studied exercise science, something completely different other than music. But I'm really thankful I did, because I liked school and I got to focus on that for a while. But in my free time, I continued to write music after class. And it kind of proved to myself and my parents that this wasn't just a phase, like it wasn't going away. And so my senior year of college, when I was supposed to be like applying to grad school, I decided I didn't want to apply to grad school. I wanted to record an album instead. And so I went back home to Raleigh, and I recorded my first album with a guy named Pee Wee Watson. He was in a band called Nantucket that was kind of popular in North Carolina in the 70s, I think. They opened for AC/DC. They were kind of a big deal. But he helped me record my first album, and it was so fun. Like that might have also been like a turning point or one of the signs that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because it was so brand new to me, but it was such a cool experience. And I learned that bringing my stories and my songs and my words to life was the coolest feeling in the whole world. Like it's one thing just playing songs for yourself in your bedroom by yourself, but it's different when you get to create something and have this project and send it out into the world and hear feedback from people and connect with people in that way. And I had like a YouTube channel for my music and had a small following back then. But those people who lived all around the world were really encouraging. And I guess just hearing how far, or like seeing how far music could spread beyond, you know, the walls of my house or my hometown was a really, really cool experience. And so after that, I knew, like, I was sure, like, I need to go to Nashville for a lot of reasons. I knew I wanted to do music, but the other like music cities like New York and LA seemed very far away and kind of just out of reach almost. But Nashville was close to home. It seemed like home. When I visited, it felt like home. Like it felt like Raleigh, but with country music. And so I moved out there. I packed up my little 2008 Nissan Altima and just drove out to Nashville, not knowing anyone, and just tried to start my life there. And I think that's really when the music journey began. And even then, like even when I first moved to Nashville, I didn't necessarily know that this was what my life calling was. Like I didn't know I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life. I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And by knowing that and keeping that in mind, and with everything I did, it was, you know, to do music. I think that's how step by step I figured out what I really want to do. Like I realized my true calling isn't being an artist. I don't want to be, you know, a famous country singer. It's not my thing. But what I do want is to share stories that I write. And I want to make people feel something, because that's what I think the coolest part of music is. I've seen how music heals people and connects to people in a way that other things don't. And so that's what I wanted to capture. And I guess my way of doing that now is writing songs for other people to like for artists to go out and sing. And then I also play in bands, which is my form of income. So it is how I make money. But I play in bands with people who I write with. And so I do get to in some way perform songs that I've written just by playing guitar. So my role in the band is playing guitar and singing harmonies. I guess I didn't say that. But yeah, that's my story. That's where I am now.
I like it. You have a really cool story. You really do. Is that a witch's hat behind you?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I wore it to the Harry Potter premiere.
Yeah, you did. That's awesome.
I didn't know you could see it back there.
I had to get that out of the way. That's funny.
Lovely.
I'm looking over my questions here, just kind of seeing what you hit. So many things. Yeah. So clearly, being a musician, whether you're singing harmonies, you're singing lead, or you're writing something, you're using your voice. Yeah. Whether it's your written or your vocal voice. How important is not just your voice, but everyone's unique and own voice? How important is it? How important is it that we know how to use that voice for good things?
That's a good question. I think it's really important. And I think it's important to remember that every single person in this world, their story is unique. And of course, you have friends and gravitate to people who have similar stories to you because you can relate to them in that way. But ultimately, every story is different. No one is exactly the same. And I think as far as like writing goes, there's so many different ways to relate to people. And I think even like you might think you're writing something relatable, but ultimately it's your personal stories and your unique stories that are the ones that are going to connect with people most if they also have a similar unique story to you. And so I think one of the worst feelings in the world is feeling alone, at least for me. It's comforting to know when other people can relate to you. And I think that's the cool thing about music is even if your story is very specific to you, you know, there are ways to relate to people. And I think we can do that through music and through songs and through sharing our individual stories.
Very cool. And that's why I personally love music. It's my favorite thing to do is listen to music. It really is. I just, no matter where or what. In any profession, but especially in an industry like music, how important are the relationships you build with people, the community, and just that kind of connection you have to and need to make with people to help you find success?
It's interesting because you hear that phrase, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I feel like people kind of use that in a negative way usually. Like, I don't know, I feel like it might have a negative connotation right now, but it's also very true. Like, you can be the most talented person in the whole wide world, but if you can't connect to other people, then no one's going to care. I mean, just honestly. And like, in an industry like the music industry, it's not real life. Like my parents and friends who aren't in the music industry like to remind me that it is a very unusual lifestyle. It is not normal. And that's okay. I like an unusual lifestyle, but a lot of it is relationship building and networking with people and figuring out who you connect with. And like on the musician side, like playing in a band, that's such a close connection when you are like stuck in a van with people for 15 hours straight, like driving from one state to 3 states over. And people aren't going to want to play with you if you're not fun to hang out with. And that's just the hard truth because there are so many people Like, I know there are so many people in that town and everywhere who can play guitar just as well or better than I can. So in that sense, I'm very easily replaceable. But I think the reason people choose me and like want me to be in their band and play with them is because I'm nice or I try to be nice, I try to be fun and like make the best of any situation, because I think it's really easy to get, kind of bogged down when things aren't going your way, or you're not getting the gigs you want. But I think that's really important, to just be a good person and have a good attitude, or at least try to most of the time. And I think by being a good person and by being yourself, like being true to who you are, that's how you find people who understand you and believe in you. Because I think people have to like you first. Like, I don't know if you've like, I feel this way about artists, but like I can hear a song that I like, but then if I don't know, find out more about an artist and like where they came from, and I can relate to them, or I think they're funny, like that makes me like them a lot more than just a good song. And I think that's the same way in any other facet of the music industry. Like, people are more likely to listen to my songs if they like me.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. Just like Freckles, right? Like Freckles.
Right, my hit.
Yeah, if you're watching this, whenever you watch this, go look up Freckles by Sarah Jones and blast it.
It's special, yes. That was like my first successful song.
It was on the radio though, right?
Yeah.
Heck yes, that's so cool. So that's kind of a success story, but is it okay not to find immediate success in something that you're trying to do or pursue? And how do you stay, or how do you persevere through not finding that immediate success?
I think that's a wide misconception of overnight success. Like, I think, once people are known to the public, it seems like they're an overnight success. Like, oh, I didn't know who they were yesterday, and now I'm hearing them on the radio. Like, they must have been an overnight success. But it's just not really how it works. And it's tricky to get into that mindset, but it really does take years and years and years of hard work to get to where you want to go. I mean, I guess there might be some people who, magically find success quickly or quicker than you by comparison. And I guess those people are out there, but typically it's a grind and it's a hustle, and you have to work really hard and not get caught up in the little failures. Because, I mean, sure, I have failed way more than I have found success. I don't even think, I mean, I've had successes, but I'm not where I want to be. I'm still working towards the ultimate goal. But I think, honestly, I feel like for me, the little failures are inspiring. I know it doesn't feel good in the moment, but it's little things like that where it's like, oh, I could have done better, or you know what, like that happened, but this is what I need to do next time to like really make it happen. And that kind of stuff inspires me and motivates me to do better and be better and practice more, and whatever it takes, like take lessons if I need to, play for an hour every night if I need to, just write by myself if I need to, and take a break from the outside world and just figure out what I want to say in my own voice. And so it's little failures and setbacks like that that I think motivate me. Success is nice too. Having little bits to just kind of know that you're going in the right direction. I mean, it's hard if you feel like every step you're taking, you're failing. But yeah, I think I've read a lot about like, or not just read, but I like listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos and stuff sometimes about how to be successful and how to properly set goals, and like setting small goals that lead up to the big goals. And I think what has kept me motivated the most, besides like random Pinterest quotes that are inspiring sometimes. But like what really motivates me is like just keeping the ultimate goal in mind. Like I literally have it on a sticky note by my desk that I look at every single day. And anytime something pops up, I think to myself, like, will this get me closer to my career goals? If yes, do it and go all in, like do it well. But if not, toss it to the side. And sometimes I think that's hard for people to hear because there's, you know, you need to be happy and you need to have fun, but like, is binge watching Netflix for 5 hours every night and like not getting any sleep helping me and helping my career? No. So I don't have a TV in my room for that reason. You know what I mean? Like I stopped myself from doing stuff like that was distracting me or keeping me from really reaching my goals. And I try to take that look on everything I do, like any job that pops up or meetings or whatever. Will this help me get to my ultimate goal? If yes, then do it.
I like that. And, you know, talking about the elimination of distractions or the elimination of things that aren't going to help you towards your ultimate goal. I think that's really important to remember, and for all of us to remember and really focus on. You kind of have a pretty cool situation where you're doing something you love and it's like your profession, as well as how you're making a living. How important is it that we all make sure we're doing at least some small things that we love to do, as opposed to need to do, necessities? We take time to do things we love to do.
I think it's really important. And that's an interesting question because I often find myself very jealous of people who can do music as a hobby and that's it. Like sometimes I wish I could just have a normal job and normal life and like music just be a creative outlet that I do on the side or like at church or for my kids. I don't have kids, but just I think sometimes, and you know, they're not famous musicians, but they, you know, play guitar with their kids and stuff. So sometimes I'm kind of jealous of that, but ultimately I think it's whatever level it means to you. Like if that's all you need to be happy and stuff, I think that's so cool. But for me, I already tried the other route. Like I, you know, I went to school and I studied something other than music, which was fine, and I enjoyed it. But the whole time I was thinking about music, like, and then when I got out of school, I worked in a wine store full time. I did sales for AT&T full time, and I mean, literally, like I tried to be normal and like have a relatively normal job and a steady paycheck and live my life that way. But it just, for some reason, it wasn't fulfilling enough for me because when I got home, I just wanted to do music. And when I was distracted at work, I was thinking about songs, and I was, you know, when I was doing sales for AT&T, I was like writing songs in my head in between calls and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm a very all or nothing kind of personality. I know not everyone is that way, which is nice. I sometimes wish I wasn't that way. But in that sense, like I'd already tried not going all in on music, and I knew I wasn't doing those other jobs justice anyway because I was so distracted. So I was like, why don't I just do the thing that's distracting me and go all in that? And so that's why I did music full time and figured out a way to do it full time and still be able to do the things I need to do, like pay my rent and pay my bills and buy groceries. And it didn't happen overnight. I lived in Nashville for 2 years working full time before I quit my job to play in bands and do music. So it wasn't like it just happened. And it took me a while to get there and to figure it out and figure out how to pay my bills by doing what I love, because it's not an easy task sometimes. But it was really important for me to figure it out and to do it, just to at least know that I tried. Like, even if ultimately I fail and don't reach my goals, for whatever reason, at least I know I spent all these years trying.
Like Miss McClure has a little comment. Yeah, Sarah, your insight is inspiring and treasured. Thank you so much for sharing with us and introducing us to Freckles. Continue.
Oh.
I'm telling you, Freckles is that bop, especially for the summer too. Let me tell you.
It's a summer bop. It's about my
life. So kind of on the same thing about writing and singing. Anyone who watches this and enjoys writing and enjoys singing, but maybe not to a crowd or anybody else but themselves, or because they don't think they're good enough, or they're too nervous or too scared or what have you. What's some advice for those people who want to but don't know if they should or could?
One of the best advice I've ever received is, if you're scared of it, then do it. And like, if you're afraid of something, then you need to do it. You have to, because you're scared of it for a reason, right? Like, are you scared of success or are you scared of failure? Because I think those are two very valid reasons to be scared of something. And I was in the same place. I mean, I think I still am. Like, I am so painfully introverted. I like do not like being the center of attention. I do not like being face to face with a bunch of people. Like
right now.
Well, this is like, there's only like 4 of us. That's fine. like being in front of a crowd is scary. Like, I get that. Stage fright is a real thing. But what I did was I took baby steps. Like, I mean, I said earlier, my first show was my first performance was in front of my church friends, like my youth group. There were like 10 people there, and I'd known them since I was 8. So like, not too scary. And then I did not want to ever sing live in front of people. So I started a YouTube channel back in 2009. I mean, years ago, when YouTube was kind of first starting, and I saw other people uploading cover videos to YouTube. So I was like, I can do that. Like, I can sing to a camera. It's not that scary. Seems easy enough. And so I did that for years, and that's how I got feedback. It wasn't from like live audiences. It was from, internet people telling me their true feelings, whether it hurt or not. People are very brutally honest on the internet, and I thank them for that, because, it's where the true honesty is. But it was kind of like baby steps like that. And then after years of doing YouTube, I like finally played some shows. Like, I played at the Lincoln Theater in Raleigh, which was pretty big and scary, but I did it. I mean, I was terrified, but I made myself do it. I was like, Sarah, if you want to be a singer or a musician or artist, if you want to share your songs with the world, you need to get your butt on the stage and just do it. Just sing. I don't care if you have a lump in your throat and you're terrified. Like, just go. And that experience ended up being one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Like, as terrifying as it is for me to like be in front of people and sing in front of people, there's like nothing cooler or more validating than a crowd response to you. I mean, I know that's very, I don't know, narcissistic almost, but like, that is like extreme validation. And then even afterwards, like, people coming up to me and talking to me after the show, like, that's when I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And maybe I didn't want to be an artist because I'm not like an entertaining personality. Like, I don't even like having people over for dinner, because that involves entertaining them, and it's just not my jam. But when I realized I could write songs and have other people sing them and deliver them more beautifully than I ever could, like, that's been the coolest thing. And I still get that crowd validation or whatever by being on stage with that artist. And even people hearing my songs like around Nashville, people coming up to me and like telling me that a song I wrote meant something to them, like they related to it and it made them cry or like whatever, took them back to a very specific time in their life. Like that's all I want anyway. So I kind of forgot where I was going with that question.
Hey, you ended in a good spot.
Okay.
You got there well. So a lot of our students haven't traveled much out of Kannapolis, or maybe just Charlotte for that matter.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about what Nashville's like? How far away is that? Like from Charlotte and that kind of thing?
Yeah, Nashville is the coolest place ever. I love it. I think, I think it's like 6 hours from Charlotte.
Yeah, 6 7.
It's on Central Time, so it's a bit of a time difference. But yeah, it's the coolest place ever. If you like country music, then it's the place to be. Whether, you just want to visit and listen to some country music or like you want that to be your life, Nashville is the place to go. I mean, if you visit Nashville, there's live music everywhere, literally everywhere, in every restaurant, every bar, on every floor of every bar. There's tons of venues around town. There's live music at the airport. It's one of my favorite places to play, actually. I play at the Starbucks sometimes at the airport when the Southwest people come in. But anyway, like it's such a cool, creative city. And there's a lot more to it than just country music. Obviously, that's what I do, and that's my life. But there's hundreds of people moving there every day. We are reminded of that every afternoon from 3 to 5 when there's lots of traffic. But, it's not as bad as New York City or LA, I've heard. So if you're looking for like a city that's still relatively small, like it kind of just feels like a big small town with lots of people and lots of live music, lots of good restaurants. Nashville is the place to be.
Cool. Some pretty good milkshakes and ice cream too, I think.
Yes.
So kind of away from Nashville and Tennessee and North Carolina, you do a lot of traveling in general, whether it be Wyoming or other states, playing shows or other countries. What's some of the best places you've traveled to, and why should people travel?
That's a great question. I think people should travel because it's so much cooler than looking it up online or watching it on a TV screen. Like seeing places that you've heard about in real life is so cool. And it's also like just cool to get a different perspective on the world or your state or your country. One of the reasons I got into music besides loving music is I wanted to travel. My mom would take us on a trip, like me and my brother and my dad, on a trip every year. And it kind of got that travel bug in me from a young age and made me want to see the world and more of the country and everything it had to offer. So I knew music could give that to me as a career. There's a lot of traveling involved with playing shows. And I was like, if that's the way I'm going to see the world, then that's what I want to do. So, and the bands I play in, a lot of it is kind of in the Southeast. So Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, that whole region. We travel to a lot. And so I've gotten to see a lot of cool places that way. Traveled up to New York City for a music thing. I traveled to Wyoming to write songs out there for a month. And we were going to travel to the UK to play before the virus happened, but we still plan on doing that at some point, probably next year if we can. So that's the way that I've traveled, like through music and through shows and different songwriting opportunities that way. But I love to travel on my own too. And I like to save up money so that I can go see the world. Like we went to New Zealand a couple of years ago, which was really cool. And yeah, great trip. And that was the first time I traveled out of the country by myself, which was a really big deal. And I think it's really important to travel on your own at some point if you like traveling. If you don't like traveling, then it's probably not fun. But like if you enjoy traveling with other people, I think it's such a great experience to travel on your own and do something on your own just for yourself. And yeah, see the places you want to see.
Like it. Man, remember that steak Guang bought us New Year's Eve?
I ate so many weird things. I mean, the steak was good, but I remember we ate like raw fish or something at that meal.
Yeah, it was intriguing. Miss Giaccone, what you got for us? How important is having a schedule or plan for those wanting to get into the music industry?
Oh my gosh. I love a good schedule and a good plan. Not all musicians are like that. I feel like a lot of people in this industry are very like, I don't know, just free-spirited and artistic, and so sometimes scheduling and planning doesn't come naturally to them, and I think that's why a lot of people require a manager or, someone to keep them in line, but gosh, I think a good plan is so important. I could not live without my schedule. I schedule things very far in advance to make sure that I'm on track and to make sure I'm respectful of other people's time and not commit to anything that and then flake out. That's so uncool. But I think day-to-day schedule is really important. Like a typical day for me looks like I co-write 1 to 3 times a day. So I might have a morning co-write where I go somewhere and meet with 1 or 2 people, write a song with them for a couple hours. Then I might have an afternoon co-write, do the same thing somewhere else. And I might have an evening co-write. All I want to do is write songs, so I like to pack my day full with writing. But I mean, other times in the evening, I'm playing shows around town. And then on the weekends, I'm usually on the road, going somewhere else to play shows. And so I think, at least for me, keeping a schedule it keeps me grounded and keeps me sane. I know what I'm doing and I can look at the week ahead of time and yeah, just not feel like life is coming at me. I think it's important to know that you're doing life and you've set your schedule and this is what you're doing. Life isn't attacking you, if that makes sense. But as far as like a big plan, I think one thing I've learned is that nothing goes according to plan. I mean, you can try as hard as you want to and have, a 5-year plan or 10-year plan. And I think it's important to have goals for yourself and have milestones you want to hit, but to be flexible and understanding that it might not go exactly the way you think it will happen.
I like it. Kind of on that advice thing, and you were successful in high school academics, college academics.
Thank you.
What's some like advice you would give to anyone in high school? Just some general advice, whether it be academic or anything in general.
Man, go to class, do your homework, be nice to your teachers, be respectful. I think one thing I didn't know in high school that I kind of wish I knew back then was the relationships that you can build with your teachers are very important. Like whether that's as a kind of mentoring thing or even, like your teachers have been where you are before, like they have a lot of experience in life, a lot more than you do at this point. And so I think it's important to listen to people who have been where you've been before and take their advice and kind of use those resources that you have right there at the tip of your fingertips. But yeah, I don't really know what other advice. I was like, I wanted to do well. Anything I do, I really want to do well at it. And that's just my personality. So I did my homework and I studied through high school and college. If I had questions, I asked. And if the teacher didn't have the answer I wanted, I went and read books about it or like looked it up online. And so that was my experience. But I think one important thing about high school in this time of your life is like finding not only what you like and what you enjoy doing, but what you're good at. And kind of following that. Because I genuinely didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in high school. I mean, I thought music was cool, but not necessarily attainable. And I knew I liked school, like I was good at school, but you can't stay in school the rest of your life. Like you have to go out and do something. So I think taking some time like outside of school to figure out, what do I enjoy? Like what classes do I genuinely enjoy? And then also which classes am I good at? And it might not be the same thing, but I feel like those are the paths to follow at that age.
Cool. Thank you for that. Being the first woman we have on here, we have several more lined up. Yep, you're the first.
Amazing.
I kind of want to like incorporate any encouragement or any kind of like girl power statement, because I just think we need more of it. So anything specifically for the ladies out there that you want to reach out and say?
That's awesome. I don't have an official statement, but here are my thoughts on that. I think it's so important for girls to know that they can do anything they want to do. And like my mom is a chemist, like, she did the sciences, which is not, I feel like a lot of people are trying to encourage more girls to go into science and math and that kind of thing, which I also encourage. Like my mom always tells me, like when she first got into her field, it was very male dominated, and she was often like the only woman in groups or in the lab or whatever. And so I think having that diversity is so important. Women have so many different things they can offer and bring to the table. And I think that's important in every field. I mean, not just math and science, but any field. And yeah, I would encourage girls to do whatever they want to do. There's not just one path for you. There's a million different things you can do. You can do it. Oh, wow. Can you hear the dogs?
Is that Sparky?
Yes. Wow. Well, you can also be a winner.
I like that. Thank you. What is the Ice Cream Tour of America?
The Ice Cream Tour of America is my passion project. If I don't find success as a musician, I hope the Ice Cream Tour of America finds success. It's my Instagram account. It's called just at Ice Cream Tour of America. But it started out because, I mean, like I said before, I love to travel and I want to see the world and I want to go to every state. And so a few years, I mean, like after college, I started traveling a little more and going and seeing more places. And I just love ice cream. I don't know. It's my favorite thing ever. And so everywhere I went, I would get an ice cream cone in like the new state or new city or new town that I went to and take a picture of it and just post it to like my personal Instagram. But then I guess about a year and a half ago, I decided that it really just needed its own glory. And so I made, a separate page for my ice cream called Ice Cream Tour of America. We've been a lot of places, even all over the world a little bit. I took the Ice Cream Tour of America to Vietnam last year. So we're going places.
Definitely one of my favorite follows on the old gram there.
Thank you.
So you're talking about, you write a lot of stuff for a lot of people. Who, like right now, should we be listening to or whatever, or like that's, kind of singing your stuff? Who can we look up on Spotify besides you on Spotify, by the way?
Yes. My, side project artist thing is on Spotify. But I'd say Priscilla Block she's from my hometown. She's from Raleigh, and we went to the same high school and stuff, but didn't really get to know each other till we were out in Nashville. And she's the first person I wrote with out there, and we've kind of been together since day one. So definitely check her out. She's doing big things, and she's from North Carolina, so that's fun. And then I write a lot with a band called Hasting and Co. And they just released a song that we wrote a couple months ago, and I know they're releasing new music soon. They're from the Midwest, but they're a fun country band. And then Emily Daniels. She's only released one song so far, but she's in the studio and recording more stuff. But I've been playing with her for about 2 years now. I'm her guitarist because she doesn't play guitar. So I go on the road with her a lot.
I like that. Emily Daniels. I had forgotten about Emily. Coach Hack says Hank Williams Jr. said one time that the best songs he wrote took the least amount of time to compose. Is this your experience also?
I think sometimes, yes. Sometimes songs are just magic, and I mean that genuinely. They just come out, and that's what it is, and it's there, and you don't need to do anything else to it. Like one of those songs for me is a song I wrote called Wyoming, which I entered into. I mean, a lot of crazy cool things have happened around that, like a country band called Runaway June. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they heard that song and liked it. And I entered it into a songwriting competition for MerleFest, the festival out in Wilkesboro, North Carolina. And they selected me as a finalist for that song. And so I get to perform there next year, which is really cool. I've always wanted to play a festival. And anyway, that was one of those songs where I wrote it with Priscilla Block and a writer named Royal Lynn. And the three of us just got together one night, and we had no idea what we wanted to write about. We had no ideas. And we literally we're like, let's write a song about out west. That sounds fun. Like, what's the farthest you can go out west? And they're like, California. And I was like, we're not writing about California. That's not a thing. None of us are from, it's just no. So then they picked Wyoming, and I was like, well, I've been to Wyoming before. Like, I have a mug that says Wyoming and has a cowboy on it that I bought out there. Like, let's do that. And I mean, we wrote that song in like under an hour. We usually set aside like three or 4 hours to write a song, and that one happened so quick. We were like, wow, we have all this extra time. Like, let's record a video of it. And that was the video that we recorded that Runaway June saw. It got, I think, like 16,000 views overnight. Like, it was pretty crazy.
Wild, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one that happened really quick. But I mean, there are other songs, like as a writer, I love the whole process. I like writing, and I also like editing. I just like combing back through things and making them perfect. So some songs do take longer than that, but I think Wyoming is definitely a special one, and it did happen that way, where it happened really fast and just kind of fell into our laps.
How can we listen to Wyoming like right now if we wanted to?
Well, there's that video online. It's on Facebook. It's on Priscilla's Facebook, Priscilla Block. But yeah, we don't have a studio version or anything yet. Our goal with that one is to send it, or like get it to someone bigger than us. Because Royalyn and Priscilla Block, they're both upcoming artists, but they don't have like a major label behind them yet. So I think our goal is to get it to a bigger artist and see how far we can take it. But you know, if that doesn't happen, I'm sure one of them will record it at some point.
I mean, I want to hear like just what y'all did the night y'all wrote it was good, but I can't even imagine a studio version of it. It's really, really good stuff. So if y'all can look it up on Priscilla's Facebook or, do it. It's a great song, great story.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I've got one more question. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be the one we end on. But before we do that, anything you want to hit on again? Are there any more questions out there from those tuning in? Sum anything up, add anything, subtract anything, multiply,
divide.
divide.
I think one thing I did want to say, like especially during this time of our lives where, you know, we're on Google chat or whatever this is and like not in real life right now, is I think it's so important to remember the importance of the arts and the creative arts. Like I think when it comes to like school programs and school funding and even, you know, out of school funding and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of times that's the first thing to get cut, which I could be wrong and things could be changing, but that's how it was for me growing up. And but anyway, I just think it's so important to value that. And like if someone tells you they want to go into a career doing something artistic, like whether it's music or visual art or acting or theater, whatever, I think it's important to encourage that to whatever capacity you can, because you can't go a day of your life without experiencing something to do with the creative arts. Like whether it's hearing a song on the radio or elevator music or whatever they play in the grocery store. Like there's always music playing somewhere. If you go out in public, you're going to see a sign or a billboard that was created by someone, a graphic designer who studied art. And even like, especially during this time, like where people are at home, what is getting us through the day? It's listening to music that we like. It's watching TV shows that we like. It's watching movies that we like. None of that's possible without the arts. And so I think that's really important, and to not, you know, undermine the power of the arts and what, you know, creativity can do for people, whether it's on a personal level, like, you know, me being in high school, you know, playing guitar and writing songs was just a creative outlet for me. That was, you know, it got me through the day when I didn't have any friends or like anyone to talk to. When I was happy or sad or angry, like whatever, I had music. That's what I had. And I think that's just important to remember when thinking about your hobbies or what you want to do as a career.
Thank you for saying that. That's really important for all of us to remember, especially not just now, but throughout. Arts get us through a lot of things in life, and we just sometimes forget what the arts actually are, and music is a huge part of the arts. You know, you coming on here today, being part of this makes you an honorary and wonder for life. So I know I kind of got you prepped up a little bit last night, trying to get you to thinking about this, but I've ended every interview with this question. What does it mean to be a wonder?
Yes, and this may not be the right answer, but I think to me, being a wonder is being unique and being true to yourself, because everyone is unique in their own way. I mean, there's a lot of things that make us similar, but ultimately we're all interesting and awesome and unique in our own way. And I think, to me, I guess that's what being a wonder is showing, I guess, your true self when you can be different or surprising or unexpected or unusual, but it's all beautiful, and that's what a wonder is to me, I think.
That's a great answer. I'm impressed. That's really good. That's a tough question for someone, you know, especially with Kannapolis or A.L. Brown, but you nailed it. Nice job. And with that, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. Just thanks again to Sarah. Really appreciate you coming on today and dropping your knowledge and your experiences and your stories, answering all 97 of my questions.
Thank you for having me. The questions help. I need that direction.
If people want to follow you in your career, your Instagram is at Hello Sarah Jones, correct?
Yeah. Hello Sarah Jones.
At Hello Sarah Jones. You can check her on Spotify. Again, Priscilla Block, Hastings & Co., Emily Daniels. are those that she's working with and writing for and with. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really, really appreciate you being on here and all you do for us in the arts department and just in life in general.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry the dogs are going crazy. I don't know what it is, but hope you could hear me okay. And I really appreciate you all having me and asking all the cool questions.
Heck yeah. All right, go see what Sparky's doing.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
See you, Sarah. Thank you.
No problem.